It's day 55 of culinary school in New York City. If it wasn't clear from the large amount of butter that we had in our pool this morning, we have started our baking and pastry unit. I'm in ICE's culinary arts program, not its pastry program, but it's important for any cook to have a basic understanding of desserts, not to mention savory pastries, so we'll build a foundation of baking knowledge over the next 2 weeks. Our new chef instructor, Chef Kieran, started class by explaining a few fundamental baking topics to understand, like the differences between leavening agents and gluten development, and it really helped me understand the why behind certain baking steps and maybe where I've gone wrong in the past. We had a very busy class. We made brownies, started biscotti and chocolate chip cookies. Tomorrow we're starting a pie dough and a tart dough, so I'll see you on day 56. It's day 56 of culinary school in New York City. Today was another busy day of baking. We started by making a pâte sucrée in a frangipan for tomorrow's tart, and then we worked on something I was so excited to learn all of the secrets to, just a basic, reliable, flaky pie dough. I've tried so many different tricks when it comes to flaky doughs. I've used dough cutters, I've even grated the butter. We just kept it simple and used our hands pinching the butter into the dry mixture. It was my favorite part of class. I think this is my new hobby. We also cut and dried yesterday's biscotti. And we also yesterday had a little measuring mistake on our cookie dough, so we turned it into a little crumbly cookie dough bar. Watch my flour throw. Yeah, pretty cool. Then we rolled out our pâte sucrée for our tarts that we're going to build tomorrow. We're also cutting off the excess tomorrow. Don't worry, it's not going to stay like this. We made way too many biscotti, by the way. I'll see you again on day 57. It's day 57 of culinary school in New York City. Today was all about pie, and we already made the doughs and most of the fillings, so now we just had to bake them. One tip I've learned is to bang your dough on the counter to warm up the edges. That way they don't crack when you roll out the dough. Our chef instructor showed us a bunch of really cool ways to decorate the rim, but I kept it classic. She called this the docking the boat method, and I thought it turned out so cute. We also cut off all the excess on our tart. I chose to fill it with a pecan frangipan and topped it with raspberries. We filled our apple pie with a very thick filling, that way the apple juices can mix with it and make the perfect consistency. Then we made a very delicious pumpkin pie filling, which went in our blind baked pie shell. My frangipan tart was not as beautiful as our chef's, but that's okay. I think I saved it with the toppings. We had so many beautiful pies just in time for the holidays. It's day 58 of culinary school in New York City. Today was our first day working with yeasted doughs, so first we started with a soft roll dough, which we are using for burger buns and challah. We learned that a great way to check for gluten development in your dough is to see if you can pull a window, which is stretching it thin enough to let light through without it breaking. We also worked on a pizza dough for our upcoming pizza day, and then our soft roll dough had risen, so we pre-shaped it. Then it was time to braid the dough. I don't have a lot of experience braiding bread, but I spent a lot of time as a kid watching YouTube videos and braiding my doll's hair. So good to know that those skills are somewhat transferable because, wasn't perfect, but I was pretty happy with this. We also portioned out our pizza dough. I loved getting to see how the plastic wrap ballooned over time. And if you didn't think we had enough bread, don't worry, we also made these rosemary breadsticks. After another rest and a little bit of egg wash, it was time to put the doughs in the oven, and look how gorgeous they turned out. It's day 59 of culinary school in New York City. Except I'm not in New York, I'm back home in Louisiana. We had class the Monday before Christmas, but I didn't want to fly home on Christmas Eve, so I did break my perfect attendance streak. But I've spent plenty of time in the kitchen over the past week. My family was hosting Christmas brunch, and I wanted to use what we've been learning in our baking and pastry unit to make a savory goat cheese and caramelized onion tart. For the filling, I whipped goat cheese with a few eggs and heavy cream. I wasn't following a recipe, so I was really happy whenever the consistency came out just like I wanted it to, and then I topped that with some caramelized onions. I'm really happy with how these turned out, and they were definitely a hit with my family. I'll see you in the new year for day 60. It's day 60 of culinary school in New York City. We are back from the holidays, and today we're working with pâte choux, which I was really looking forward to learning about because it has so many sweet and savory applications. Butter, flour, and water are cooked together on the stove to form a dough with a high moisture content. Eggs are added in, which brings it to a pipeable consistency, and when this dough is put in the oven, the water will create steam, which will make it puff up. We're decorating cakes next week, which will hopefully give me a chance to work on my piping skills. I tried to drown all my mistakes in almonds and powdered sugar. Next, we made pastry cream, which was a great lesson in custards. Here we're tempering the eggs, which is a really important but spooky step because the eggs could curdle. So much whisking, I really got my arm workout. Our chef instructor used our extra choux dough to make cacio e pepe gougères. They were delicious. We had a ton to share. And look how gorgeous our pastries turned out. Our plan is to do most of the filling tomorrow, but of course we had to try them, so we made some profiteroles with vanilla ice cream and plenty of chocolate sauce. I'll see you tomorrow for more pastries and cake. It's day 61 of culinary school in New York City, and strap in because we have a lot to get done today. We're venturing into cake territory and I am so excited. We started with a lecture and then we made a vanilla cake batter for the layer cakes we're decorating next class. The mixing method was really interesting to me here. We cut the butter into the dry ingredients almost like we would a dough, but then we mixed it until it was very fine and then added the wet ingredients. Of course, we're baking cupcakes too, so we did a chocolate batter and a carrot cake batter. We're filling the cake with a lemon curd, and so new ingredient unlocked for me, these little gelatin sheets that you soak before using. I'm not a big lemon dessert person, but this curd was delicious. The last cake component we made was this Swiss meringue buttercream. It was so fluffy. This cake is going to be so good. But we're not done yet. No. We have to fill our pastries from yesterday. We used a few different flavored pastry creams to fill our eclairs and Paris-Brest, which is a classic French dessert. And then after lots of baking, class was over. We packed up all of our cakes to decorate on day 62. It's day 62 of culinary school in New York City. It was snowing this morning and we were decorating cakes, so spoiler, it was just the best day. Like, this was the view from our classroom. We finished most of our cake components last class, but we had to make cream cheese frosting, which was delicious. And then we had to re-whip our buttercream because it had been sitting in the fridge, so we got out the blowtorch. Then it was time to build and decorate our cakes and cupcakes. We filled our cakes with a lemon curd filling, and then we gave it a crumb coat. This is a thin layer of icing that sets in the fridge and keeps all of the crumbs locked to the cake. That way the final layer of icing is super smooth. We piped the cream cheese frosting onto our carrot cake cupcakes, and then we tried to give the Magnolia Bakery swirl look to our chocolate cupcakes. And then it was time for the really fun part, doing all of the piping and decorations. My goal here was to learn a few simple and reliable cake decorating techniques. I love cake. It's one of my favorite desserts, and I want to play around more with different flavors and fillings. And now I feel like I can execute a few simple decorations next time I bake one. I'll see you tomorrow when we go over custards and creme brulee. It's day 63 of culinary school in New York City. Calling all creme brulee lovers, today is for you. We made so many different custards as well as panna cotta, which was similar to our custard-based dishes but thickened with gelatin. One of the harder parts of today and other days in baking is that you're scaling out the same ingredients over and over for dishes you're making simultaneously. That means you need to be organized with what goes where, but it's also really interesting to see how the same ingredients can make very different dishes with different cooking methods and ratios. We made flan and creme brulee, which are both baked custards, and they go in the oven with a water bath to keep them at a very even cooking temperature. We used sheet gelatin again today for our pomegranate gelée, and then we made creme anglaise, which is going to top my favorite dessert that we're making tomorrow. I'll let y'all guess. It was really delicate. You couldn't cook it too long or too little, but I think I got it right. And then it was time for the fun part. We were torching our creme brulee, and I learned you need more sugar than you think. I'll see you tomorrow when we make my favorite dessert. It's day 64 of culinary school in New York City. Today we're making soufflés, which are my favorite desserts. Side note, go Tigers. Yesterday we focused on custards, which are egg yolk heavy, and today we focused on meringues, which are egg whites. It's important to fold in the meringue, David, which is when you use like a J motion to scrape the bottom of the bowl and flip it onto itself. That way you're mixing it together but not deflating the egg whites. Those were succès cookies, by the way, which are very similar to macarons but not. Next we made our chocolate souffle batter, and it's really important to carefully wipe the edge of the ramekin. That way it doesn't get stuck when it tries to rise. I was really happy with how most of our soufflés came out, and these have a really short lifespan, so we dug right in with some creme anglaise. We pretty much followed the same process for these Gruyere soufflés, except we whipped the egg whites by hand, so my workout for the day was done. They're so cute. I think they'd be perfect for like a brunch party. Then we topped our panna cotta and flipped out our flan from yesterday, and we finished class by filling our cookies. It's day 65 and day 66 of culinary school in New York City. Unfortunately, I was sick on day 65 and had to miss class, but I knew everyone was making a pâte sucrée dough so we could practice our frangipane tart on day 66, so I made that at home. That way I wasn't too far behind. I hated missing class because I really enjoy school and I'm so grateful to be here, but sometimes it just has to be done. This was our last chance to practice our frangipane tart before we're tested on it tomorrow in our practical exam. Everyone was also finishing up a few dishes that they started the day before, and we ended class by learning a few different dessert plating techniques. Welcome to our final day of baking and pastry. It's day 67 of culinary school, and we're ending this course like we do every course with exam day. First, we made our dough that way it could chill in the fridge while we took our written exam. This one wasn't open notes like the ones before, but it still went very well. And then we went back to the kitchen to make our frangipane filling, roll out the dough, and build our tart. I've learned so much over the past few weeks of baking and pastry, and I've had so many questions answered and just have a general understanding now of why things happen the way that they happen in baking. Our next course is the one that I've been most excited for since I enrolled at ICE, so check back tomorrow as we start day 1 of International. It's day 68 of culinary school in New York City, and we've made it to the section that I've been most excited for, international cuisine. Over the next few weeks, we'll spend each day focusing on a different region or country's cuisine. As you'll see, we're moving around the globe very quickly, but the hope is that we'll leave ICE with a good understanding of a few key flavor profiles and dishes from each region. Today, we're cooking Northern Mediterranean dishes from Greece and Turkey. My group made baklava, which was many layers of phyllo, butter, and a pistachio filling. My favorite dish was definitely moussaka, which my group layered with eggplant, ground lamb, and topped with a creamy bechamel. It was so delicious and well-rounded. We had lots of great dishes being made around the room: dolmades, which are stuffed grape leaves, spanakopita, and kofta, to name a few. It was such a fun class. Here's a beautiful spread of all of our Northern Mediterranean dishes, and I hope you'll follow along as we cook around the world. It's day 69 of culinary school in New York City. The Mardi Gras season is in full swing back home, so my dad shipped me some king cakes from Louisiana. I loved getting to share a little piece of Mardi Gras tradition with my class. Knife stays in the box, by the way. Then it was time to get cooking. Today's focus was a variety of North African and Middle Eastern cuisines, which included lots of delicious dishes like falafel, shakshuka, and bistia. I spent most of class working on a preserved lemon and olive chicken tagine. I seared off the chicken, deglazed the pan with chicken stock, and put it all in the oven to braise with lots of spices. With about 10 minutes of cooking time left, I added in the sliced preserved lemons and olives. We served the tagine over couscous, and it was so good. Each group made a big batch of pita bread, which we rolled out and cooked in the oven and on the grill. Here's our buffet of all of our North African and Middle Eastern dishes, and I'll see you tomorrow when we travel to Spain. It's day 70 of culinary school in New York City. If you've been tuning in, you know right now we're on our international unit, and every day we focus on a different region or country's cuisine. Today's focus is Spain, and I spent the first half of class making the Spanish tortilla, which was a dish I was not familiar with, but I ended up really loving. It was kind of similar to an omelet. I caramelized some onions and lightly fried potatoes, which I layered together with lots of eggs and then cooked on the stovetop until the sides began to release from the pan. While the eggs finished setting in the oven, I checked out what my classmates were working on. There was lots of seafood, paella, and my absolute favorite, croquetas. It was a great day to be a student at ICE because another class made this massive charcuterie spread, which of course I sampled, and then it was time to get back to the kitchen to flip out my tortilla. It was a little spooky, but it made it out in one piece. Look at those layers. And then I worked on the pan con tomate. We rubbed garlic and tomato on toasted baguette slices and then topped them with serrano ham and anchovies. Here's a final look at all of our dishes, and I'll see you tomorrow. It's day 71 of culinary school in New York City, but not really. On day 71, I was traveling for a friend's bachelorette, so today I'm making one of the Mexican dishes that I missed in class. Right now, we're in our international cuisine unit, so each day focuses on a different country or region. For Mexico, I'm making pozole verde. I did change the recipe just a little bit because the one the school gave us was a vegetarian version, and I wanted to add chicken. New York City apartments aren't known for their big, massive kitchens, so I will admit it's a little more difficult when I cook at home versus our big commercial kitchens at school. For example, I realized I didn't have a blender whenever I was getting the ingredients for this recipe, so I got a teeny tiny blender from Target, and I wasn't sure how it would do, but it actually was perfect for the job. This was such a delicious dinner, and I'm looking forward to being back in the classroom on day 72. It's day 72 of culinary school in New York City. It's a beautiful but cold day in New York, so luckily we're focusing on the cuisines of a warmer climate, Central America. I was making ropa vieja, so my first task was getting the braise in the oven as soon as possible. Then I got started on one of our pupusa fillings by broiling some onions and blending them with beans in the Vitamix. I simmered the bean mixture on the stove to remove a little moisture, and then I mixed in lots of cheese. Then I went on a little side quest because one of the regions we're studying tomorrow is the Caribbean, so I helped prep the jerk chicken marinade, which we vacuum sealed and put in the fridge to marinate overnight. Next, we filled the pupusas, which was lots of fun, and then it was back to the ropa vieja. I really liked this dish, but if I'm being honest, the beef needed a few more hours braising in the oven to be fall apart tender. Of course, we're in a time constraint in class, so I'll definitely be making this again at home. Here's our buffet of Central American dishes, and I'll see you tomorrow on day 73. It's day 73 of culinary school in New York City. Today's view from the kitchen window was the marina freezing over, so it's safe to say it's pretty cold. Right now we're in our international unit, so each day we're focusing on a different region's cuisines. And today we're focusing on South America and the Caribbean, which is a really large area to cover in one day, but we did our best. I worked on this Haitian codfish and rice dish for most of class, which was salted cod smothered in a thick tomato, onion, and pepper sauce. My teammates were frying plantains, so I worked on a dipping sauce with garlic, garlic, oregano, cilantro, some lime juice, orange juice, and olive oil. Here's a sneak peek of the jerk chicken they were making across the room. Then I plated up my own dish and added it to the buffet. It was another great day of class, and I'll see you tomorrow when we travel to India. It's day 74 of culinary school in New York City. Next up on our international tour of cuisines, we're heading to Asia, starting with India. Indian cuisine is one of my all-time favorites, and then on top of that, I was making one of my favorite Indian dishes, samosas, so it was a very fun class. I worked on the samosa dough while one of my teammates worked on the potato and pea filling. Once the dough rested, we portioned it out into 16 individual pieces, and once they were all rolled out, our chef demonstrated how he wanted us to fill them. We're having a class devoted to different types of dumplings later on this week, so this was the perfect practice run. Once all of the samosas were filled, we deep fried them and served them alongside all of our amazing Indian dishes. I feel like this has to be our best spread yet. I'll see you tomorrow on lesson 75 when we study Chinese cuisine. It's day 75 of culinary school in New York City, and today we're studying Chinese cuisines. We start our international classes by talking about the country's regional differences, from their most common flavor profiles to where certain popular dishes originate. I made red cooked chicken, so I started searing the thighs and legs and then added them to a hotel pan with the braising liquid that had lots of garlic, ginger, soy sauce, red wine vinegar, sesame oil, star anise, cinnamon, and brown sugar. That all went into the oven to braise while I checked out my classmates' dishes like mapo tofu, scallion pancakes, and a whole fried fish. Once the meat was tender, I reduced the sauce and thickened it a little with a cornstarch slurry, then ladled it onto the braised chicken. Just look at this delicious lineup. It was such a good class, and tomorrow's gonna be even better because it's dumpling day. It's day 76 of culinary school in New York City, and it's the day we've all been waiting for, dumpling day. The official focus of today's lesson was dim sum, but in addition to making some traditional dim sum dishes, we also made other dumpling styles like Japanese gyoza. I worked on a shiitake mushroom and tofu filling for the gyoza, which started by sauteing the mushrooms to remove moisture and develop flavor. They went in the food processor with the rest of the ingredients like mushrooms and edamame. But then it was time for the fun part, folding our dumplings. I was pretty happy with my first dumpling, but I think I regressed each dumpling I made after that. I eventually got the hang of it though, and then I went to try some of the other filling stations. Here's my char siu bao attempt. Once all of the dumplings were filled and folded, the gyoza were steamed, and then I pan fried them to get a nice crispy bottom. We had egg rolls, shumai, mushu chicken. Like, this is my dream, really. This is what I dream of. Who else thinks we should have another dumpling day? Because I'm not ready to move on from this one. It's day 77 of culinary school in New York City, and today we're headed to Thailand. I've been looking forward to today's lesson because Thai food is one of my favorite cuisines, definitely in my top 3. I also really liked the recipe I was assigned today. Not only was it delicious and pretty simple, but I really liked how it turned out visually. First I prepped all the ingredients, and then I sauteed some garlic and ginger in a wok. Then I added in the soaked mung bean noodles, along with the sauce made up of fish sauce, stock, oyster sauce, some rice wine, soy sauce, and sugar. To cook the shrimp, I turned the heat very low and covered the wok in foil. This really gently steamed the shrimp so they weren't overcooked. In the meantime, I did some cleaning and checked out what my classmates were doing, and then it was time to plate up my dish. Everything we ate today had such a great balance of flavors, which is what I appreciate about Thai food. I'll see you tomorrow as we cover Vietnam and the Philippines. It's day 78 of culinary school in New York City, and today on our international unit, we're covering Vietnam and the Philippines. People often ask me what my favorite dish is that I've made so far in school, and I never know how to answer because we've covered so much, but today's Vietnamese beef and rice noodle salad will definitely rank high on that list. I grilled a flank steak while one of my group members prepped the veggies for the salad, then I sliced it thinly and added it to a marinade that had lots of fish sauce and lemongrass. Marinating the steak after it was grilled and sliced allowed it to really soak up all of the flavor. We topped the noodle salad with cilantro, mint, and toasted peanuts. It was so delicious. All of the food was great today. We had summer rolls, lumpia, and of course chicken adobo. I'll see you on day 79 when we explore the cuisine of Japan. It's day 79 of culinary school in New York City, and today is a very big day because we're covering the cuisine of Japan. If you know me, you know sushi is by far my favorite food. I eat it multiple times a week, and today at the end of class, we're rolling a few hosomaki, which is a roll with one filling, and futomaki, which has multiple fillings. But first, I worked on a soba noodle salad with shiitake mushrooms. I know I keep unintentionally making noodle salads this week, but hey, I'm not complaining. They're delicious. Then I helped one of my group members members with the chicken katsu curry, which is another one of my all-time favorite meals. Meanwhile, my classmates were working on vegetable tempura, udon, and miso soup, to name a few. We were a little pressed for time at the end of class, but I was still able to give a few salmon rolls my best shot. We had so many great dishes on our buffet today, and we'll continue on to Korea tomorrow. It's day 80 of culinary school in New York City, and today we're focusing on Korean cuisine. I've spent the past few classes making fairly simple noodle dishes, so to switch it up, I chose seafood pancakes, which were quite involved. The seafood came whole, so I peeled and deveined the shrimp, and then I unlocked a new skill, cleaning squid. First, I removed the head from the body, then I took off the skin and removed the spine and beak. Meanwhile, my group members were shucking oysters, which I chopped up along with the rest of the seafood. Then it was time to build the pancakes. The green onions were dipped in pancake batter to create a raft, which held more batter plus the chopped seafood. Next, I added a few slices of red pepper and eggs, and then it got a little spooky. It was time to flip it, but I surprised myself, and all 4 pancakes made it out alive. Aside from my seafood pancakes, we had lots of great Korean dishes today. We made a few different banchan, which are Korean side dishes, kimchi stew, bulgogi, and more. I'll see you tomorrow for Course 6 exam day. It's day 81 of culinary school in New York City, and today is Course 6 exam day. It's also my school's 50th anniversary, so everyone wish Ice a happy birthday. During Course 6, we traveled around the globe sampling a variety of international cuisines, but for the exam, we're revisiting our chicken supreme practical. This time, we're able to choose any potato dish and any glazed vegetable. First, we broke down our chickens. That's right, chicken fabrication is back. Then I got started on my palm Anna, which was thinly sliced potatoes that I layered in a non-stick pan with an infused clarified butter. I browned the top layer of the potatoes on the stove and then finished it in the oven while I seared the chicken, made a white wine pan sauce, and blanched and glazed my green beans. I really enjoyed seeing how much my plates improved since our first chicken supreme practical during Course 2. After my practical, I finished the day by taking my written exam. I'm super excited for the first day of Course 7. Here's a little hint, we're heading home.